the Baku Ayivor family matter and chieftaincy matter, October 2025. Without wasting time on introductory statements from Dogbey family, we wish to respond to this press release head-on. Historical background. The so-called 2005 committee's final report on Dogbey Baku's affairs is a dead document and of no effect because it was quashed by a court of competent jurisdiction on the 14th of July 2005 before His Lordship Justice Yanni, suit number E10/707/2005. It was quashed by Setorera. Rightly stated in our press release, the Royal Baku family of Denu is the Royal Baku School of Denu is the exclusive property of Dogbey Baku, Kuchonyo Ayivor, son of the founder of Denu. Therefore, only male paternal descendants are eligible to be nominated, elected, and installed as Dufia of Denu. I acknowledge that the Makoso of Some is responsible for the installation of the Dufia of Denu. I am confirming that I, Dogbey Baku IV, was duly installed by the Makoso of Some at Agbozume on the 22nd December 1993. I was installed with 3 other chiefs, namely Dogbey Agboka II of Agbozume, Dogbey Jani II of Agbozume, and Dogbey Dovo IV of Adafienu. On the strength of this installation, we were admitted to the Anglo Traditional Council, the only existing traditional council at the time with jurisdiction over Anglo District, Keta Municipal Assembly, Ketu South and North Municipal Assemblies, Akachi North and South Municipal Assemblies. The Registrar of the Voter Regional House of Chiefs confirmed this during the inauguration of the new Some Traditional Council. Let it be known that there is no separate Baku family and there is no separate Ayivor family in Denu. Baku, the founder of Denu, had 3 sons and 2 daughters, namely Jameji Akposwe, Kuchonyo Ayivor, Amako, all male. The females are Kubo and Adau. Now, why Baku Ayivor? Ayivor became the beloved son and confidant of Baku and remained at Denu with his father till his death, whilst his 2 brothers settled in nearby towns. Amako settled at Avoeme and Jameji Bosue settled at Adina. The 2 sisters moved to their matrimonial homes in nearby towns. Ayivor himself was a great warrior and created his stool in memory of his father, Baku, and therefore the name Baku Stool of Denu and the Baku Ayivor family. Also, it is the same reason why only male paternal descendants of Kuchonyo Ayivor are eligible to be nominated, elected, and installed as Dufia of Denu. Baku belonged to the Tovia clan of Anglo. Also, Baku is a male descendant of Tenu Agbotoko, founder of Koji. Also, Tenu Agbotoko was the son of Echegbeje, one of the warriors who carried their uncle Dogbey Benya from Wache to Angloga during the migration of Evers in the 14th century. So, as a matter of interest, we would like to ask a question. What clan does the Ayisa, Agbo, and Ataku family belong to? The ruling of the Voter Regional House of Chiefs on the 22nd May 2024 did not declare null and void the 9th March ruling of the Anglo Traditional Council, but the tribunal ordered that the case should be retried at the newly created Sume Traditional Council. Baku Stool Family of Denu Genealogy, the correct version, issued in March 2004. The essential purpose of this publication, our version of the genealogy of the Baku Stool family of Denu, is to put historical facts straight in order to correct the distortion and misinformation being propagated in the recent copy, not dated, written by the self-styled head of Baku family of Denu. The relevant facts presented in this edition were collected from historical documents in the archives, verbal statements given by living members of the family who are at present residents in such places as Alakble, Koji, Kliko, Adina, etc., and related family members near home in Adafienu, Fejana, Agbozume, and of course Denu and Lome. The reader who is interested to know the truth will find it rewarding to locate and authenticate sources and verify hearing. For easy reading and in order to understand and identify the recognized branches which together make up the great Baku Stool family, the various generations, their children and descendants are presented in a graphic form. Appendix 2, which you have. Our great-grandfather, Baku, the founder of Denu, occupies the top of this tree, followed by his 3 children and 2 daughters, down through their children to our present generation. Dogbey Kuchonyo Ayivor founded a stool which he named after his father, Baku. This is why only the descendants of Kuchonyo Ayivor have been occupants of the Baku Stool of Denu from its inception in 1850, that is, from the reign of Dogbey Baku I, Kuchonyo Ayivor, to Dogbey Baku IV, Julius Ayivor, who is currently the Dufia of Denu. Following the death in 1987 of Dogbey Baku I, subsequent members of the family who were chiefs on the Baku Stool or acted as regents were 3 chiefs and 3 regents. Again, it is important to stress this order of succession by the Baku Ayivor family members. Again, let me repeat this. Again, it is important to stress this order of succession by Baku Ayivor family members. This was never challenged, nor trespassed, nor in any generation. There was evidently peace, stability, progress, development, and prosperity throughout the total duration, covering over 150 years. Few land litigations in connection with the border demarcations were competently resolved in the colonial courts, authentic records of which are still available in the archives. Well, dear reader, you are now invited to patiently read the detailed history of the Baku Stool family of Denu and the descendants of the family tree who occupied the stool over 1.5 centuries. We trust that you will then be in a position to judge without bias the facts and fictions regarding the family who have the right to and an authority to nominate and install a chief on the Baku Stool of Denu. Another important reason why this document is published now is to answer recent calls by the National House of Chiefs and opinion leaders to research and document the genealogy and the order of succession to those who are historically and legally entitled to be nominated, elected, and stooled on any particular stool in the country. A genealogy in circulation titled Baku Stool Family of Denu. The Dogbey family of Tokukope have distributed copies of a document titled as above. This is, again, a deliberate attempt to twist facts to give false impression that they are members of the Baku family. There is only one Baku family of Denu. It is the same as the Baku Ayivor family, to which the Dogbeys do not belong. To start with, they indicated that Baku had 2 sons and 1 daughter, namely Ayisa, the son, Adawu, daughter, and Akposue, son. This is false. Baku had 3 sons and 2 daughters. These are Jamaji, alias Akposue, Amako, and then Kuchonyo, alias Ayivor. The daughters are Adawu and Kubo. Jamaji, Sokachi and his cousins, his maternal cousins, the Dogbeys of Atokukope, in an attempt to manufacture genealogy of Baku's family and weave themselves into it, stated before the Kabonu Committee and elsewhere in the genealogy they have circulated that Akposue had no issue. This is not only untrue, but also a display of abysmal ignorance and the mother of all lies. Our Jamiji, alias Akposue, lived at Adina. He married Kokouchi, daughter of Dogbey Atoklo of Adina, and had several children, among whom are the males are Jata, Kudesu, and the females are Duaho, Alesunshi, Atoba. Jata married Senanu and had children. The males are Nyadanu, Uchuga, Onukpa, Sosoale, Alu, and the females are Nyadiagbe, Hadape. Nyadanu's children, i.e. Jamaju's great-grandchildren, are Sifas, Samuel Ayaovi, Kojoche, Seth, Koshivi, Kujo, Amuzu, Hetekpo, Kumachi. Kudesu married Efi from Aflawo and begat Apeke and Sotimede. Apeke's descendants can be traced in Togo, Benin, and Ghana. Amako, Ayivor's brother, married Elo from Avweme and begat Kejewu, a son, and a daughter, Mihole, who married Late from Kejano. Kuchonyo, alias Ayivor, had many children. Among them are Avulete, Amato, Besavi Chagli, Adoko, Badohu, Agbenyega, Lomado, Abochi, Doviavu, Nujepo, a lady, a woman, Yadoho, Besavi Kokweku, Muchogbe, a lady, Ajashi, a lady, Kuzo, Iboku, and Domepo, a lady. Baku's daughters. Adawu had a son, Jila, with Tetekubi of Ada. She then married Adadafianu and begat Ahaji and Ahajiche. She later married Adagbozume and had Yoro. Ahaji is the father of Jikwi. Therefore, the claim that Adawu had only 1 child, Jila, is false. Kubo married Samijo from Kegana and had the following children: Domakpo, Kotoku, Dokuno, Amajogbe, Amajogbogbe, Soeke, Dashi, Atoshi, and Akoli. Baku never had a son called Ayisa, and therefore the Ayisa's descendants cannot trace their genealogy to Baku. Jila was not the first chief of Denu as stated in the document in circulation. Kuchono Ayivor, one of the 3 sons of Baku, was installed the first chief of Denu by Dogbey Adokofi in in 1850. In his capacity as chief of Denu, he was a signatory to a treaty signed by Thomas George Forbes on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen of England and by Chiefs Sou, Okru, Dovo, and Kuchonyo Ayivor on behalf of the towns of Kajana, Adafionu, and Denu respectively. In a document entitled "This Solemn Deed and Compact," dated August 6, by Frederick Mitchell Hodgson, the colonial secretary of the Gokos, on behalf of the government of the said colony and the king and chiefs of Agbozume on the other part, Mugan signed for the chief of Denu and Jila as a headman of Denu. It is pertinent to quote here Jila's own statement in a court during the case between Chief of Kajana and Chief of Denu, dated 5th June 1902. Jila, the defendant, said, "The land in dispute is mine. It belonged to one Baku. When Baku died, his children succeeded. I succeeded Baku's children. Baku was my mother's father." In 1902, a commission of inquiry was appointed by the government of the Gold Coast to inquire into dispute between Fia of Angra and the chief of Agbozume. The commissioner was Francis Crowder. In his evidence before the commissioner, Doviavu said, "Chila succeeded my father. When I was old enough, he held me and put me on my father's stool. My father's name was Ayivor. Jila's mother and my father were by one man, brother and sister. Jila was my cousin. After my father's death, they put Jila on the stool. I was a very small boy. When I was old enough, Jila put me on the stool and died shortly after." This confirms that Jila was not the first chief of Denu, but he was appointed by Doviavu's father, Ayivor, as regent. Is Jila's grandfather, Baku, the same Baku that the Dogbeys are referring to in their genealogy? The answer obviously is yes, because in their genealogy they mention Akposue, Adawu, and Jila, who were all children and grandchildren of Baku, Ayivor's father. Yet the Dogbeys have always maintained that Ayivor is not Baku's son. In 1972, the Ayivors decided to fill the vacancy on the Baku stool, which had been vacant since the death of Segbeji Baku III in 1965. As custom demands, a candidate was elected and presented to Dogbey II, Fiagan Osome, for installment. Out of the blue, the Dogbeys also presented another candidate to Fiagan for installment on the same stool. As a result of this confusion, Dogbey II set up an arbitration court under his own presidency to go into the matter. A report was issued by the arbitration court dated 8 July 1972, and for some strange reason or unknown reason, the report was only made available only to the Dogbeys. By an act of grace, the Atokos showed the report to some members of the Ayivor branch of the Accra branch of the Ayivor family, who visited Tokokope on the advice of Sokachi. The report in part stated that it is clear to the arbitration court that both parties are all members of the same family, that since two persons from Ayivor's side had already reigned, the court feels it was time a successor be found from Amagan Atoku side. The incongruity of this finding vis-a-vis the Dogbey's insistence that the Ayivors are not children of Baku and therefore they are not their relative is obvious. Again, in July 1984, Achiagbe Kabonu, the SYPNDC Secretary of Ketu District, set up a committee of inquiry to investigate the affairs of the Baku stool of Denu. In his evidence before the committee, Kwashi Dogbey, Michael Dogbey's father, stated that Ayivor was a guest of Baku from Davie. However, Stokachi stepped in and objected to how Dogbey was representing the facts. Contrary to Dogbey's evidence, Stokachi explained that Baku had two sons, Aisha and Akposue, and a daughter, Adawu. Aisha begat the Dogbeys, and Akposue begat the Ayivors. Therefore, we are all members of the same family. This is in line with the pronouncement in the report of the committee set up by Dogbey. The Dogbeys, however, continue to maintain that their position, which is at variance with Dogbey II and Stokachi's statement. In a short history of Denu circulated together with the genealogy in 1988, they repeated Ayivor hailed from Davie in the Republic of Togo, and he is not a descendant of Baku. One would like to ask, what is the interest of Stokachi, who is Ayivor, in this whole affair? It is known that when Doviafu Baku II died, Stokachi was then at Kpeje, resigned his post as produce buying clerk and returned home with the aim of being made Baku III. His offer was not supported by the family, and therefore Doviafu's son, Segbeji, was nominated. Stokachi managed to form an opposition group of some Ayivors to oppose Segbeji's nomination. One of the reasons was that Doviavus were monopolizing the Baku stool, and it was time ascension to the stool rotated among the various patrilineal branches of the Ayivor family. It is unfortunate that this action was politicized during the CPP era. It is during this period that Stokachi turned to his maternal family for him to execute his diabolical plan. Stokachi's mother, Fianko, is a daughter of Hanu. Hanu is Aisha's daughter, and Ago his brother. Fianko is therefore Ago's niece, and Stokachi is Ago's grandnephew. The Dogbeys are descendants of Ago, and therefore Stokachi and Dogbeys are cousins on his mother's side. We would like to state in conclusion that the document they circulated is false and mischievous. It's a false and mischievous inversion of the genealogy of Baku, the founder of Denu. The inaccuracies are obvious. Baku, the founder of Denu, is a member of the Tovia clan of Koji. He had 3 sons and 2 daughters. All the sons had children, and their descendants are alive and identifiable. The sons are Jamaji, Akposue, Kuchonyo, Ayivor, and Ameko. Baku did not have any son called Aisha. Aisha's descendants are therefore not descendants of Baku, the founder of Denu. Therefore, be it known, and it is hereby declared that the Baku family of Denu is the same as the Baku Ayivor family of Denu. The Baku Ayivor was introduced so to emphasize the fact that the real Baku, founder of Denu, is the founder of Ayivor. Now, the audio evidence and revealed agenda. We challenge the Dogbey family to produce a copy of the alleged recording to establish the truth of the existence of an audio recording to lobby for the creation of a new paramountcy. We want to state that since the founding of Denu by Baku, only male patrilineal descendants of the son of Kuchonyo Ayivor, Baku I, had been installed on his stool, the royal Baku stool of Denu, and stated as stated below. Baku I, Dogbey Baku I, Kuchonyo Ayivor, he reigned from 1850 to 1887. Dogbey Baku II, Doviavu Ayivor, son of Kuchonyo Ayivor, he reigned from 1913 to 1944. Dogbey Baku III, William Sigbeji Doviavu Ayivor, son of Doviavu, he reigned from 1944 to 1965. Dogbey Baku IV, Julius Ayivor, son of Venance Adoko Ayivor, he was installed on the 22nd December 1993. He is the current Dufia of Denu. The Baku stool of Denu had 3 regents from 1887 to date, namely Jila, son of Adau, biological sister of Dogbey Kuchonyo Baku I. His father was Tetekubi from Adan. He was regent from 1887 to 1912. Logosu Abochi Ayivor, son of Abochi Ayivor, he was regent from 1965 to 1980. Moses Doviavu Ayivor, son of Solomon Doviavu Ayivor, he was regent from 1980 to 1993. The installation of Dogbey Baku IV, Julius Ayivor, is legitimate because of the following reasons. He was nominated by the Baku stool family of Denu. He was installed at Agbozume by the chief makers Fiadola of Some and Dogbey II by a court order, mandamus, before his lordship, Justice J.B. Mensah, at the High Court of Ghana at Ho on the 28th August 1990. He swore an oath before the Makoso of Some, Dogbey II, at his palace at Agbozume on the 22nd December 1993. Dogbey II was represented by Dogbey Ado, Fiaga of Somekleko, and the stool father of Dogbey at the palace. During the swearing-in ceremony, the gathering was informed that Dogbey II was on admission at Sapiagbo Hospital at Hegrano. Dogbey Baku IV belongs to the Tovia clan. He was a true descendant of Echegbeje, one of the great warriors, ever warriors, who carried their uncle Vanya from Wache to Angloga. Finally, we also like to ask these questions. Which clan does the Atoku Dogbey, Ayisa and Ago belong? On which stool did they install their chief or chiefs? What are the names of their chiefs that they installed in Denu from the beginning of the founding of Denu? What are the names of their chiefs? Who is the owner of the property they are referring to as Dogbey Baku's palace? Atoku Dogbey, Ayisa, Ago, and the paternal descendants are not related to Baku at all, and are therefore not descendants of Baku. The Baku stool is the exclusive property of Dogbey Kuchonyo Ayivor Baku I. Only male paternal descendants of Kuchonyo Ayivor Baku I are eligible to be selected, elected, installed as Dufia of Denu. we wish to set the record straight. The Some traditional area of old was made up of two parts. Some Fugo, Some South, from Denu to Baku, whose indigenes migrated from Kita after the Kita uprising 1844 to 1847. This group never settled at Agbozume, but continued southwest to the coastal area and settled on Viepe land, and the rest on Keko land from Agwaku to Blekusu. Some Vego, some North, comprising our kindred who decided to settle on a land offered them by the Klekos. We wish to state that these two form part of the 33 states of Anglo-Duko. That is why all the traditional councils are still under the Anglo-Duko Council, as confirmed by the registrar of the Volta Region House of Chiefs during the inauguration of the new Some Traditional Council at Agbozume on the 9th November 2022. We want to state categorically that Adra, Jila, and Adon families are in no way related to the Dogbache, Agbapepe, Ayisa, Ago, Atoku families. However, we know for the fact that Jila was the son of Adawu, a biological sister of Togbe Kuchonyo, and Tetekubi of Ada was his father. Jila's nephew, Ayivor's nephew, was the first regent of the Baku stool from 1887 to 1912. Jila, as regent, put Dogbey on the stool of his father, Baku the First. Adra was a grandson of Ayivor. He was the chief fetish priest of Kuchonyo's Yebe. His father was Avulete. Adon was a nephew of Kuchonyo Ayivor Baku the First. From the above, it is clear that all three above, Jila, Adra, and Adon, are two blood relations of Kuchonyo Ayivor. Therefore, they cannot be blood relations of the Dogbey family. The premises being referred to as Togbe Baku's palace is a private property of Badohu, son of Kuchonyo Ayivor. The property became the matrimonial home of Anyave from the Dogbey family, and Anyave was the wife of Badohu. The ejection of the Dogbey family from this property is pending at the Denu High Court. The ceremony, labeled as illegal, was a genuine one by the Tovie clan members and chiefs. The ceremony rotates among the towns of the Tovie clan chiefs on a quarterly basis. The 19th to the 20th September summit fell on Denu. It was celebrated as planned without any incident. Baku, the founder of Denu, originated from Koji near Alakle and settled at Kita as a trader. During the Kita uprising, he was the leader of the adultery wing, the Dome Valogo. Dovo of Adiavionu was the leader of the right wing, Dushi Avalogo. Sape Agbo of Kajano was the leader of the left wing, Emia Valogo. They all fled from the war front in different directions. Baku sought refuge at Kliko at first, later moved to Agbozume, Amukwe, for a short while. Before leaving Amukwe, he left behind his kindred, the Chirifu family, and then moved to Webeme at Aflau border. There was a misunderstanding between him and the community over his Chinakpe throne. Therefore, he moved again from Webeme to Viepe and lodged with Togbe Japo, the founder of Viepe, at a very old age. At Viepe, his children intermarried, and through this, they became one people. They asked for land from Jakpo to settle finally with his family. The parcel given to him was originally called Denu, which was corrupted by the colonialists to Denu or Denu. The so-called 2005 Reconciliation Committee report, which was at the instance of Dogbey, was quashed by a court order of competent jurisdiction. Suit number is E10/07/2005 before Justice K.K. Yane on Thursday, 14th July 2005. This report was quashed by certiorari and can no longer be used as evidence. Regarding the May 2024 ruling, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs there was no overturning of the March 1988 ruling of the Anglo Traditional Council, and no declaration of null and void of same. The ruling was to send the case to the newly created Summit Traditional Council for retrial. The Ayivor family had issues with this ruling of the Regional House of Chiefs, and therefore wrote a petition to both the President and the Registrar. With respect to the alleged audio recording, we challenge you to produce a copy to establish the truth of the recording. Thank you for your attention.